So introduction. So hi everyone. So we are the directors of development. I'll let Paul introduce himself first.
Hello, my name is Paul. I'm one of the directors of development. I'm a senior here at Rutgers studying mechanical engineering.
So hi everyone. My name is Ellen Chen. I'm a junior majoring in packaging engineering. So Paul and I are the two directors of development for this year's EWB. So we are in charge of the entire financial status of the chapter. We set goals on how much money we need to raise every year for each project, and we work towards generating these funds. So more will be explained later. Okay, next slide, please.
Oh, I think Kevin raised his hand.
Who's not working with Scarlet Mail? Let's see. Which form is this for?
The answers, the answer sheet.
Okay, thank you. Let's see if we can get that fixed shortly. Sorry for all the technical difficulties, everyone. Paul, can you work on it to the side?
I need to exit the
Oh,
presentation
never mind.
now.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're sharing. Let's see what I can do then. Okay. Can someone try again? I believe I adjusted the settings. So anyone who previously had issues, if you guys, if the link has worked for you, can you please say so in chat? Still not, huh? Funky. Okay, what about this link that I just sent in chat? Great, thank you so much. Sorry for all the tech troubles, everyone. Okay. Let's continue on, Paul. So what is EWB financial development? So financial development is a term that encompasses the entire financial branch of Rutgers EWB chapter. So I consider the financial development branch to be the backbone of the organization. In order for EWB to function, we need money, and projects need funds to implement, travel, and operate. So it is crucial to obtain funding. Financial Development Committee and the members involved in the financial development work to gather the funds necessary to do all these activities. Next slide, please. So this chart gives you a general overview on how the financial development is structured. Every individual project, so Camden, Guatemala, Kenya, Tanzania, will have a project financial subcommittee. And these financial subcommittees for the individual projects will be run by the financial subcommittee leads, or maybe perhaps the project leads. The chapter as a whole will hold financial development meetings, also known as FinDev meetings. So these FinDev meetings are run by Paul and I, the directors of development. So every financial subcommittee lead of all 4 projects are required to attend the FinDev meetings, and anyone who is interested in the financial development branch of EWB as a whole is more than welcome to join. So the main difference is that the financial subcommittee leads will run smaller scale project-oriented fundraisers, while the DoDs will run large-scale chapter fundraisers. This will further be elaborated into the presentation. And so everyone can just keep this chart in the back of your mind as we continue on. Next slide, please. So we have our first question. Name a similarity and difference between the roles and responsibilities of DoDs and financial subcommittee leads. I'll give everyone a minute to answer. And if you finish, just type in chat so I can see, please. Thank you. Okay, we can continue on. If anyone still needs to, write out your answer, feel free to do so while we present further. Well, thank you. So how is Rutgers University's EWB chapter funded? So first and foremost, recently EWB USA, the national chapter, have started project cost share. So here, the national chapter will evaluate our projects, and depending on the progress of the projects, EWB will give us funds. So they gave us funding for Guatemala, Kenya, and Tanzania. Unfortunately, because Camden is a domestic project, they have not given us funding for that. So luckily, since Guatemala and Tanzania will be implementing this year, they provided us $30,000. So this is great news. And in the below, I quoted something from EWB. It says, EWB USA chapters are responsible for fundraising to support the overall operations of EWB USA, the activities of your chapter, and the projects on which you collaborate. So this EWB project cost share is something a bit new. So the large majority of the responsibility is on our chapter to fundraise ourselves. So that's why financial development is very important, thus that we can provide enough funding to do all of the activities necessary. Moving onwards. So Rutgers. So every year we receive funding from the Engineering Governing Council. So EGC provides allocations for all the engineering organizations underneath it, and EWB is one club under EGC. So this year, out of, I believe, like a $90,000 budget, Engineering Governing Council has provided EWB with $18,821. So this is huge, and we're really happy with this number for this year. And I'm also going to spend this time so everyone can be aware of a certain constitutional amendment right now that's being passed, or attempting to be passed by RUSA. So everyone might have received this email from EGC and probably have already heard of it. But RUSA is hoping to change the amendment such that the fees that we pay to these governing councils, RUSA wants 100% of these funds. So currently is an 80%, 20% split. So 80% of these fees go to our school, which is the engineering school. So that would, so 80% of these fees will be given to EGC, while the other 20% is given to RUSA. So what RUSA currently wants is 100% of these fees to go to them, and then they decide how much to allocate to EGC and all the other governing councils underneath RUSA. So I hope everyone is at least aware of this, and if you do disagree, please vote no, because it seems, well, at least it has been suggested that if this amendment has passed, EGC will not receive as much funding as we currently have. Another way that we receive money is through chapter dues. So every member in the Rutgers chapter EWB is required to pay $15 per semester. However, for this year, we understand it's a very difficult time due to virtual learning. So it's only highly recommended or encouraged to pay the dues. It's not mandatory anymore. However, if you do pay, there will be benefits involved. So I still highly encourage everyone to pay once we've been asked so. So thank you to our treasurer, David. He was in charge of getting us the allocations from EGC, and he'll be also collecting dues. So you can hear from him in the future. Next. So fundraising, there are two main types of fundraisers. There are project fundraisers and FinDev run fundraisers. So project fundraisers are run by the project subcommittee leads. So these are small scale fundraisers. For example, the restaurant fundraising nights. I imagine a lot of you guys, perhaps in high school, have participated in such fundraising nights where you encourage your friends, family members to go to a restaurant, and perhaps like 20% of the profits would go towards the organization. So EWB has done this around the New Brunswick area. We have collaborated with Panera, Chipotle, Cereal Creamery, for example. And we've also have talked with Chick-fil-A to get their sandwiches. So we purchase them in bulk and then we bring them on campus and sell them. So another idea for small scale fundraiser is selling goods. So last semester we planned on selling chocolate bars. So it's like the Gertrude Hawk fundraiser. And we also have thoughts about selling clothing items such as shirts, socks, and beanies. So FinDev fundraisers. So these are run by the directors of development, Paul and I. So in general, these are large scale fundraisers. So in the fall, our main one is the year-end giving campaign. So this is a crowd fundraising program run through by the EWB headquarters and is meant to target our families, friends, coworkers, and other contacts. So this year-end giving campaign is basically every member in EWB will try to fundraise money by asking for donations from friends, family members. So the more money you're able to fundraise, the better rewards you'll be able to get. So we'll be doing like a tiered reward system to encourage everyone to fundraise as much as we can. This, at least, this year-end giving campaign is something we'll definitely be pursuing this fall semester. So in spring semester, we traditionally have the golf outing. Unfortunately, we could not hold the golf outing last semester due to the coronavirus. And we'll have to see, I guess, for this semester, for the upcoming spring, whether or not we can hold the golf outing then. So if it works out, then this is something that we will be planning throughout the winter and implementing in the spring. And then one important thing to note is that all profits benefit EWB chapter as a whole. So even if profits from the project fundraisers, right, those don't go to the individual projects. Everything is collected as a whole for EWB. We have one Sabo account. Okay, continuing onwards. Right, so here I just have some images of the golf outing. In the golf outing, we invite our corporate sponsors to attend. So the more participants we have, the corporate sponsors, the more profit we can make. Our tickets is generally pretty pricey, but the corporate sponsors understand that this is for EWB organization, and we are a great organization who wants to help out the communities from all different sorts of nations. Okay, let's see. Okay, sorry. Continuing on, Paul. Okay, question 2. Where do the profits from project run fundraisers go to? I'll give everyone a minute before we continue. Okay, Paul. From now on, Paul will be taking over the presentation.
Awesome. So another source of funds that we get, besides from Rutgers and from fundraisers, are from grants. These are sums of money typically awarded to organizations with the goal of supporting specific objectives, like education, charity work, or specific projects. FinDev and financial subcommittees spend the majority of their time applying for grants, and the way we approach grant writings is pretty basic. There's basically two steps: selecting grant and writing the grants. One of the benefits that we have as a 501c3 organization and as a nationally recognized nonprofit is that we can apply to a wide variety of grants because most grants are looking for charity organizations, and the name brand helps us win those grants. So this question is in the wrong order. This is supposed to be after the slide next, but I'll work with it. So one question that you might have is, what criteria do we look for when selecting the grants? Well, the answer is on the next slide. The criteria we look for, there's four: fit, value, effort, and priority. So fit refers to how well our organization matches the grant's requirements and objectives. This is the most important criterion to meet because if we don't align with the grant's requirements, our application will simply be rejected. Grant requirements may ask that applying organizations have specific functions, like the org needs to be involved in certain projects like sustainability or education. Note that we don't need to be a perfect fit for grants to still apply. If we see that we match the basic requirements for a grant, we might still decide to apply anyway to broaden our pool of potential funding. The second criterion is value. This is pretty simple to define. It refers to how much money a grant gives. The more money a grant gives, the higher the value. The other two criteria, effort and priority, these are a bit more murky to define. Effort refers to how much time and energy we need to do an application, and it depends on how difficult an application takes to write or how long it takes to write. Priority refers to how soon an application needs to be done, but this can also change depending on how easily we believe a grant can be done or how little effort it takes to complete a grant application. If we find that it's easy to do and it takes a lot, like little effort, we might decide to prioritize that grant first over other grants. So the other step is to write the grant besides selecting. So grants typically ask a list of questions in their application that gauge whether or not we match their criteria. This can include anything from the descriptions of our organization, our structure, any affiliation we have with the grant issuer, our members' demographics, and of course, our requested budget and plans for funds use. Some others in the slide. We of course need to state our project and program description, our past experience and credibility, and of course, we need to show a demonstrated need or problem. Depending on the grant, we might decide to highlight a specific EWB project in the application if it matches the grant closely. For example, if a grant issuer wants only domestic projects, we'll choose the Camden project as the recipient of the grant and highlight their achievements in the application. EWB Rutgers has 4 projects, so this means we have a lot of flexibility in which grants we can apply for. Pick and choosing projects allows us to tailor an application, and that makes it a lot stronger. So writing is pretty simple. Grants have very similar applications, so we can refer to past grants for ideas on how to format and write an application. And obviously, this means that applications are pretty similar across the board, so we can reuse writing samples. Oftentimes, it's just a matter of copy and pasting info from one grant into a new application. So here's a writing sample. This is from a grant we applied for in 2017 to Coca-Cola. In that grant, we chose the Tanzania project as the recipient of the grant. I'm not going to read the excerpt in full because that might take a little too much time and be pretty boring. But the idea is that the language to be used in a grant should be concise and clear, show measurable objectives and quantifiable outcomes, and the style should ideally be professional as possible. So you want to be as clear and succinct as possible in your explanation, but you don't want to mince on the details, because if you don't include enough details, we just get rejected. Okay. The other source of funding that we get is from corporate sponsorships. So corporate sponsorships are relationships we try to develop with companies for funds, like item cards or gift cards, or items for like the raffle we run during golf outing, mentorship, or technical advice for our projects. We typically try and reach out to potential sponsors by contacting people we know at the companies, but we also do cold calls as well. We have a formal tiered sponsorship program and corporate sponsorship packet, which we use as an incentive for companies to sponsor us. And in this packet, we give a brief description of our organization and projects, detailed expectations of our sponsorship, and provide them with some incentives. So we have 3 tiers of sponsorship, gold, silver, and bronze. And I'll explain that in the slide after this. So the campaign is fairly new. The framework was developed in 2017 and 2018. So it still really is a hit or miss. A company agreeing to sponsor us can be a huge win, but for the most part, we really don't get responses. Having contacts with the company obviously can increase our chances of getting a sponsorship significantly, or, well, so does the timing of when we reach out. So what we've seen is that we get a much better chance by reaching out to a person we know within a company and contacting either in the beginning of the year or at December, because this is when companies are usually finalizing their budgets for the year. Despite that, even though we're not getting a lot of responses, we're still finding that getting sponsorships yields better results than just applying for grants, because a relationship with a sponsor can bring in returns for a long time rather than a single cash boost from a grant. Plus, it's easier to get our organization noticed if we reach out to human connections rather than having our grant applications screened by a bot. The idea is that we maintain relationships that we can rely on for years to come. And we have some of our sponsors in the right side: Haley Aldritz, Dewberry, Mazor Consulting, Colgate-Palmolive, and Gannett Fleming. You can see the full list of sponsors on our website at ewbruckers.com. So here's our corporate sponsorship tiers. We have 3 tiers, gold, silver, and bronze. These are based on how much a company donates to our chapter. So gold sponsors require a $5,000+ donation. Silver sponsors need a $1,500 or $5,000 donation. And bronze sponsors, you need to donate $500 to $1,500. Each tier has different benefits associated with it. So just reading off some of the points. So gold sponsors, they have their company logo displayed on our t-shirts, and they have special recognition in our annual chapter highlight newsletter. For silver sponsors, their company logo is displayed on our bulletin, and they get a complimentary invitation to our annual recognition banquet. For bronze sponsors, they get a flag displayed at our golf outing and an invitation to speak at one of our chapter meetings. So what are the sources of funding that EWB relies on? We've mentioned this before, so I believe we should have covered all 3 of them to give you a hint at this point. I'll give you 1 minute to write down your answers. Awesome. Okay, let's continue. So at this point, you're wondering probably, how can I get involved with financial development at EWB? Well, there's 3 ways you can get involved in EWB's financial side. The first way is what most people do when they join the projects. They join a project financial subcommittee. Starting in October, projects will start their first meetings of the semester, and you'll have a chance to join whichever interests you. They'll be running financial subcommittees where you can get involved in grant writing and fundraising. And project leads will also be recruiting for financial leads to run their subcommittees as well. I highly encourage everyone to apply. There is no prior experience necessary. Anyone can apply any year, any major. And project leads normally recruit 1 or 2 financial leads. So yeah, the application deadlines will be decided by the project leads. We don't have, I think, a specific date for the project meetings yet, but you can always stay tuned for more info. So check the GroupMe and be sure to keep up with our email newsletters. The second method is to join the FinDev committee. So FinDev meetings will start up once project leads have selected their financial subcommittee leads, typically the week after subcommittee leads are selected. Like project financial subcommittees, we'll be applying for grants, planning fundraisers, and working to get corporate sponsorships. These are mandatory for financial subcommittee leads to attend, but they are open to everyone, and we encourage you to join because we need as many people as possible to earn money. We run the FinDev committees, as Ellen mentioned, the DODs. They are separate meetings from the chapter, e-board, and project meetings. And of course, we have yet to decide on a day and time yet. So more about FinDev. We place a lot more focus on training our members by providing them resources and skills to conduct fundraisings. And we also focus on more organizing and implementing fundraisers as well. The difference between FinDev and typical project financial subcommittees is that FinDev gets a lot more involved in fundraising and has a broader influence over EWB's finances. The last way and third way is to volunteer at one of our events. So we run a number of fundraising events throughout the year. These include project run fundraisers, like collaborations with restaurants like Chipotle or Chick-fil-A, concession stands at football games and basketball games. During the summer, we also attend the Governor's Ball and run a concession stand there. We also attend the Unite Race Marathon, and we also run our own event, the Golf Outing, which is in the spring. So with the pandemic going on, these events are kind of up in the air. The responsibilities for all financial committees have to change this year because we're all remote. So for the fall, we'll be shifting the majority of our focus to applying our grants and raising funds remotely through events like donation campaigns, like our year-end giving campaign. Okay. Any questions so far?
Feel free to speak or type in chat if you have any questions.
Awesome. Okay. So this concludes our workshop today. Thank you guys all for coming out. Be sure to fill out the attendance form and the questionnaire and submit those forms. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM us in the GroupMe, or if you're part of Slack, do that as well. So again, you guys are free to go. This is the end of the workshop.